Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today I want to do something a little different. I'm going to do a little bit more talking, but it's going to be important to kind of flesh out some of these ideas. So today I want to talk about 5 things that you can do to improve your playing this year, particularly for gospel musicians, but this works all around as a good musician as a whole, you know? So let's get started. The very first thing I want you to do is to be more conscious and learn a little bit more music theory. And so I know when you hear music theory, you know, you kind of climb up into a shell and you think about advanced jazz and things like that. But no, take it very simple. So the first thing we want to do is pretty much just learn basic scales. And so you can do a lot with the major scale. So at bare minimum, so we'll just start with 1 octave. So if we just start with the C major scale, we want to learn that in 1 octave. And so we'll take that and then move it around at a different octave. So even just finding your octaves, like knowing where a C is on every string makes a huge difference. So here's an exercise you can do for that. Alright, so we just pretty much played C pretty much all down the neck, well, at least up to the 13th fret. But it repeats after the 12th fret. So first off, you know, finding that octave, knowing where those notes are around your fretboard, and then playing just a basic major scale. So that's the standard kind of like E shape or G shape when we're thinking about the cage system. So you could play it that way, or you could play 3 notes per string. Alright, so now let's find the next octave. Three notes per string. So if you take the time and you knock out just the major scale and know how to play that in different positions, 1 octave at a time, they'll quickly expand your fretboard. All right, tip number 2. Tip number 2 is learn the Nashville number system. All right, so now that we know the major scale, we have to know the tonality of each note in that scale. And so if that's something you want to learn, like the basic theory of how to build that chord structure, build diatonic chords, I can make a video on that later. But the Nashville number system is just a shorthand to that. So if I say go to the 1 and we're in the key of C, the 1 is C. So if we play the C major chord, the second note is D. So when I say go to the 2, you go to D. And so forth. So all white keys, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And so each number has a scale degree. So at bare minimum, you should be able to play the 1, 4, 5 in every key. So just to give you a quick heads up, the 1, 4, and 5 are all major. All right. The 2, 3, and 6 are minor, and the 7th degree is diminished. So that's if we're staying diatonic or true to the scale tones. It gets a little bit more complicated if we're adding 7th chords and things like that. But don't worry about that. At first, all we need to know is if I call out a number, we should be able to look at that major scale. So if I go to A, all right, in that shape, I know where my 1 is. I know where my 4 is. I know where my 5 is. I know where my 2, my 3, and my 6. All right, so again, 1, 4, and 5 are major, 2, 3, 6 minor. The 7th degree is diminished. Sometimes you can get away with the second inversion or the first inversion of the 5 chord. for the 7th degree, but that gets somewhere else. All right, but forget I said that. But that goes into the next idea. Tip number 3 is learn chord inversions. All right, learn your chord inversions. So the quickest way to really think about this is to, I like to think of using the Cage system. So most people are familiar with the Cage system because when you get a guitar book or a chord book, that's the first thing that it kind of explains. So it's an acronym. So C chord, the A chord, the G chord, E chord, and then finally the D chord. All right, so let's take that C chord. All right, the first thing I want to do is learn how to make that chord movable. So what's happening is when we play that C chord, we've got our root, C, we got our third, and then which is E, then we have our fifth, which is G. Then we have another root, C, and another E, or 3rd degree. So if we look at this chord, we have to imagine that we have a fret here where our strings are open. And so we need to be able to shift our hands around, or our fingers around rather, so that we can actually capture those open chords. So the simplest way to do that is we're going to use our 4th finger on the root, and we're going to kind of staircase down. Ring finger, where our open finger is, we're going to bar. And so if we keep that shape in mind, I'm now going to move that to an F. Cool. So first off is learning how to move those Cage system chords and then break them down into smaller pieces. We can see several triads inside of that shape. All right, so at first we have, that's one triad. And then we have, so instantly we have, or even here, we have 3 different voicings there. So a triad is just a collection of those 3 notes that build the chord tonality. So in this instance, the 1, the 3, and the 5. All right, so that's the root. All right, so first inversion, we're going to start with the 3rd degree. So we have the 3rd degree, 5th degree, and the root. So if we move that down here, well, let's move it to F. That's our root position. That's our first inversion. There's our second inversion. So we would do that same idea with all those chord shapes in the Cage system. Make sense? Cool. And then step number 4 to improve your gospel guitar playing this year. It's just a basic suggestion. I just want you to take small weekly goals. This is a lot to take in. And so slow and steady wins the race. So rather than trying to knock out all that music theory, trying to learn all those chord voicings and inversions, play a little bit every day. So you might spend the first 5 minutes of your playing time just warming up, just doing finger exercises, and so forth, or whatever you like to do just to get your fingers moving, your blood pumping. And then next, maybe spend the next 5 minutes just finding those octaves. So find a G everywhere. Right? So being able to do that quickly, being able to quickly visualize where you are on the fretboard and find that note. And then at each one of those notes, play a major scale. So don't take it, for granted 5 to 10 minutes of work that you can do every day. I guarantee you, if you just take 30 minutes a day, to an hour, your playing will drastically improve over the next 2 weeks alone. All right, cool. All right, and then my final and last tip for you is to actually find a band to play with. So learning all this theory, learning how to play, getting that muscle memory down, building your theory, none of that really matters unless you're actually out and collaborating and you're engaging with other musicians. That's going to dramatically improve your playing because you're collaborating, you're feeding off each other. Nothing against a metronome, nothing against a backing track, but there's nothing like being in a room with another musicians and you're learning from a keyboard player, or you're trying to mimic what a singer or a saxophone player is doing. All that, those little things changes kind of your approach to your guitar playing, and it helps you develop a more sound approach and a signature, if you will, because you'll start to hear things that you like, and you'll build that into your playing. And then also, if you're playing at a church and you have an MD who's calling out chord changes or the number system live and in real time, that's going to really reinforce what you're learning in your private time. All right, cool. Well, that was a lot. So again, I don't usually do videos like this where I do a lot of talking, but I just want to rehash what we talked about. Learn a little theory. Start by playing those scales and octaves. Take the cage system and then begin to move it across the fretboard to learn different inversions. You learn your number system, and then take little small baby steps to improve your playing. 15 minutes a day on each idea that you're trying to, or goal that you're trying to reach. Ultimately, when you have 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, use that time wisely. And then lastly, get out and play. I cannot stress that enough. Get out and play with others. Collaborate. And you'll be sure to speed up your playing. All right, guys. If you have any questions about this video, or if you want to see any other tips and tricks, please let me know. I'll love to make more videos for you. Like, share, subscribe. That's going to help keep the channel going. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time.